The patron saint of all things terrifying and macabre, Scary Larry Dwyer, invites you across the pond for a nightmare filled with horror. British horror. That's right. You've stepped into season 4 of Scary Larry's House of Horrors. This time, it's hammer time. Oh, and as normal, we'll be swearing a fucking lot and spoiling a ton of shit. You've been warned. Welcome to a brand new episode of The Pint, a pop culture podcast, Scary Larry's House of Horrors, Hammer Time. We're back again. 4th episode in our 5-episode, 4th season of Scary Larry's House of Horrors, talking all about the British horror of Hammer. And this is also coinciding with All Thang February. That's right, all month long on The Pint. On the main feed, we're doing 4 vampire movies, this one included. Over on our Pint Insider, we're keeping the fangs up and doing 2 werewolf movies. Because at the end of this month, Larry and Connecticut Cult Classics will be showing 2 of the films we'll be doing at the end of the month. We'll tell you what those are and what the date is at the end of the show. My name is John.
My name is Lloyd.
I'm Scary Larry.
And I'm John Cross.
And as these episodes have all been, we bring John along because, well, he's our expert. He's our representative from across the pond. And he also knows an awful lot about the Hammer horror. So let's get into this one. This episode, we'll be talking about a film titled Legend of the 7 Golden Vampires. Sticking with that All Thang February theme, let's get into it.
Start the diesel, all head forward!
All right, so John, before I get into any production stuff,
yes, sir.
I'm going to ask you right off the bat. You know a lot about Hammer, but I'm curious,
sure.
What do you know about Shaw Brothers? Because this is like the only Hammer Shaw.
It is, yes. And weirdly, the follow-up to this was going to be with an Indian studio, like a Bollywood film. So they didn't plan to do a sequel with the Shaw Brothers, but they did plan to do one in India that never transpired. I know the Shaw Brothers and Run Run Shaw and so on for certain movies. I certainly can't name them, and I certainly am not going to claim to be any kind of Hong Kong or Chinese martial art movie aficionado, but I have seen a bunch. I just don't know that I could sit there and if you gave a name to me, I'd be like, oh, okay, cool. Yes, I've seen that. But to claim any great knowledge of the Shaw Brothers would be incorrect.
I feel like I've seen a lot of these movies when I was 7 years old on Channel 5 in New York, right, Larry? Is that where where these all ran out of?
I'm certainly a big fan of like Asian martial arts movies and have watched a ton of them. I just couldn't tell you between Golden Harvest and Shaw Brothers and da-da-da-da. I just, I wouldn't know. Exactly.
Shaw Brothers now probably are most well known for being the inspiration behind the Wu-Tang Clan.
Okay.
36 Chamber of Shaolin is a Shaw Brothers film. Also Tarantino, huge Shaw Brothers fan, 5 Deadly Venoms and One-Armed Swordsman, etc. So yeah, like they were the shit. They were the company that made all the kung fu movies that you loved as a child.
I feel like I have a sensory memory, Larry, of very recently in the last couple of years going to the archive in Bridgeport. Do they have like big box sets for these guys?
Over the past few years, I don't know what companies put them out because I can't afford them. No, I think they're on the 2nd or 3rd, and they're like, when you say box set, there's like a dozen movies in each Shaw Brothers box sets. But yeah, I don't know who's putting them out.
Arrow.
It's Arrow. Okay.
Arrow are putting them out. They've done the Shaw Scope. In fact, they're up to volume 4, believe it or not.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they're all like $150 a piece.
It's something I would love to own. I would definitely, if I had hit the Powerball, I'd go buy all 4 today.
Yeah. There's a very good chance if they're $150 a piece that the Manster just randomly bought them at the archive for no reason other than they were expensive and he had the money.
Never.
Yeah, and I don't even watch kung fu films. So.
Yeah. No, Lloyd just said this
I just had to have it.
How much is this? $150? I'll take all 4. Can you have those wrapped and sent to my penthouse? Yeah. Manster is crazy, the archive. We'll talk about that a little bit more.
The weird
right.
thing is, John, is that like when you think about how Hammer was seen in the UK, especially in the 70s, you know, not only was it on its way out, not only was it on its last legs, but it had always been in the eyes of sort of the British film industry. Not that there is much of one, but it was always in the eyes of that something of a B movie studio. It was never. Now it's way more critically acclaimed than it ever was when it was a thing. Yet the Shaw Brothers like were the game in town in terms of Chinese and Hong Kong martial arts movies. So it's very like the pairing is very interesting because now as film fans we go, oh, that makes sense. 42nd Street, you know, Shaw Brothers stuff played and Hammer horror movies played, and it's kind of horror meets kung fu. Like that kind of makes sense in our heads now. I don't know that it did in the mid 70s.
Right.
Yeah, this definitely, only having seen the handful of Hammer horror films that I've seen with you guys, this definitely had a different vibe to it. And
that's one way to put it.
It also definitely had the vibe of, just from watching this and knowing what I know, of being something at the end of something. Like this was kind of like the steam was running out of the Hammer, you know, and they were looking to do something different, but whether or not it worked. And there's one trivia fact I want to point out in a second that really drives that home. So Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires has a couple different cuts. John and Larry both watched the 110-minute Chinese
No, we watched the 90-minute uncut American version. The 110-minute, I don't know, has ever been released outside of Asia.
Okay. Lloyd and I watched the 74-minute American cut down from the 90-minute one, which is titled, when the credits come up, because I rented it from Best Video, and when I put the movie in, the case was Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires. When I put the movie in and it started playing, it said, The Seven Brothers Meet Dracula, and I'm like, oh fuck, did they swap the disc out by mistake? I was getting nervous, Manster.
I think I saw the regular one.
Oh.
I didn't see that one. No, I saw the.
If you watch it on YouTube, you watch the 90-minute version.
Yeah, it was 90.
So I saw the 74-minute version. Okay, so July 11th, 1974, this was released in Hong Kong. October 6th of 1974, a version was released in the UK. And then one of the versions was released in the US on June 15th of 1979. Yeah. Directed by Roy Ward Baker. If you remember that name, you've been paying attention. He directed Dr. Jekyll and Sister Hyde.
Okay, he did.
He also directed Quartermass and The Pit and the Titanic film A Night to Remember. It was
the Titanic?
He's the king of the world.
He also did some Amicus movies, which was sort of like a secondary studio to Hammer. So Amicus and Hammer were both kind of running concurrently in the 70s. Cushing and Lee jumped between both studios. They were both in movies by Amicus. And then afterwards, he even directed a little cult movie called The Monster Club, which also features my favorite, Donald Pleasance, and Vincent Price.
Nice.
Okay. You said it's Amicus?
Amicus was the studio. Yeah, he did Asylum for Amicus, and what was the other Amicus movie he did? The Vault of Horror.
Roy Ward Baker apparently was not able to keep up with the action martial arts stuff, so they brought in a Shaw Brothers veteran, Chang Cha. He directed films such as Man of Iron, Dead End, and The Golden Swallow. This was written by a guy named Don Houghton. Now, apparently from what I read, Don Houghton's wife somehow knew some of the guys over at Shaw Brothers, and that's kind of how this actually came together, where they knew each other, and then it became a, hey, it's peanut butter, it's jelly. These taste great together. Let's fucking do it. Don Houghton wrote for Hammer a couple of the other, now this is a Dracula film. This is a Dracula Hammer film. So he wrote Dracula AD 1972.
Love Dracula AD.
And the Satanic Rites of Dracula. He also wrote a couple episodes in 71 and 72 of Doctor Who. This was filmed in Hong Kong between October and December of 1973. And just a couple of tidbits I have here for you. The original US edit of the film totally eliminated Dracula as a character. His scenes were taken out, and then they decided to reinsert them. He's in very little of it, and it's not Christopher Lee. And another one that I thought was very interesting was Christopher Lee, who does not appear as Dracula in this movie for the 3 minutes Dracula's in it, tried to convince Peter Cushing not to do this movie because it was beneath him. And this is the last Dracula film Hammer put out with Cushing as Van Helsing. And Cushing's wife had died 2 years earlier, and he was so despondent that he just did it because he wanted to work and kind of take his mind off of stuff. And I actually read one point where Roy Ward Baker said it was difficult working with him, not because he was being difficult, but they said he was almost catatonic at certain points because he was so like just awash in grief that he was having a hard time like picking his life back up. And he credited this movie, even though I don't think he thought it was a great one, as being something he needed to do to kind of like move on. And of course we know, as Lloyd will mention in a second, that in a few years after this, he ended up in, one of the biggest franchises of all time. So, that probably helped boost his morale as well. Manster, let's talk about the cast. Who do you got?
Shabuya roll call. Woo.
Let's talk about cast, baby.
Wait to hear Master read these names.
Yeah, I'll do my best. So we have Peter Cushing, obviously, as Professor Abraham Van Helsing, the authority on vampires, obviously. Known for his leading productions, like you said, in the horror films from the 50s to the 70s, and as Grand Moff Tarkin in the Star Wars saga, also in Top Secret.
That's right. He's got the big eye. Yeah, he's
the reverse scene in Top Secret. And also, Manster, not to step all over your toes, he's technically Professor Lawrence Van Helsing in this one.
Lawrence. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So
Lawrence with a U or with a W?
With a W.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Sweet.
All of us real Lawrences are with a W.
Then we have John Forbes Robertson as the Count Dracula. Best known, right, for being the only other actor than Christopher Lee to play Count Dracula for Hammer.
Yeah. Trivia point that I read, so this isn't me being an expert. There are 2 Hammer Dracula movies that don't have Christopher Lee in them. This one, because he was replaced, and I guess Brides of Dracula, or The Bride of Dracula, doesn't have Dracula as a character. It's got some secondary vampire, and Christopher Lee doesn't appear in that one as Dracula. So thought that was interesting. It's like Friday the 13th 1 and 5. Like Jason's not the killer, right?
Yeah. He was also in Life Force, which, if I remember right, that was Vampires in Space, right?
Vampire-ish movie.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Then we have David DeKaiser as the voice of the Count. Uncredited voice. He was also the voice of the Tabernacle in Jardage.
Oh, I've never seen that.
And as the voice of the Grail in Excalibur.
I've seen that.
A lot of weird voice work.
Yeah, so he's a voice guy. Then we have Robin Stewart as Leland Van Helsing, son of Lawrence.
I want to raise my hand.
Yeah, go ahead.
Raise my hand.
That bothered the shit out of me.
Yeah, so apparently, John, there is not a son in any other movie, is what I read.
Yeah, no, there's not a son in any other movie. Joanna Lumley plays his niece in Satanic Rites of Dracula, which I massively prefer over Dracula AD 72, but that's me. Yeah, no other son in anything else. But Cushing kind of, I think throughout Hammer, and I've not studied it deeply enough. I need to go deeper into it. But I think he plays like a different descendant of Van Helsing in each movie. Sort of. They're not all the same Van Helsings. I don't, this one takes place in the 1800s, and obviously AD 72 and Satanic Rites take place in modern day 70s. And then obviously the earlier ones take place, I don't know when, like 1600s. I don't know. So it's, he always plays a different descendant of.
And Van Helsing's killed Dracula like 3 or 4 times.
Oh, yes. Well, the whole point of Satanic Rites is Dracula going, the Van Helsings keep coming back to kill me.
Yeah.
F this, I'm just going to kill everybody.
Well, even this, not to go all the way to the end, but even this one's like, fuck it, every continent I'm on, here you are.
Right?
Yep. It's like, that's fucking weird.
This is so true. So Robin Stewart also is known for playing Mike Abbott in the 70s Brit-com. Get that? Bless This House. I'm not familiar with that, but
Yeah, I mean, just a very standard sitcom about people at home. It's very 70s. I've maybe seen like 2 episodes.
Yeah. All right. Then we have, and I'm going to try and pronounce this correctly, Yuli Ege.
I guess
I looked it up. That's how I said.
You're looking at us to correct you as if we're Asian or
Whatever.
speak Mandarin.
That's the fucking
No, she's Norwegian,
girl, bro.
Yeah, she's
the
Norwegian.
Norwegian one.
Yeah,
She plays Vanessa Bjorn.
I was like, that's a weird Asian name.
Yuli Ege. So she's the
Holy
wealthy
shit,
widow that funds the journey. She also has a romantic thing with one of the characters.
She has some.
She was. Yeah,
She gets murder-suicided. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's awesome. She was a Norwegian model, and then an actress, and then a nurse. So she became a nurse after an actor.
As soon as she popped up in this movie, I fully expected to see her titties, and in the version I had, her titties never show up. Yeah,
no, none for her.
A lot of Asian titties.
A lot of Asian titties. The version I had a plethora of Asian titties.
I believe because that's the first one I saw was I saw a 35 millimeter print of the American version, and I believe there's more titties in that version.
Even more
10-minute long. Yeah.
That's the one they played at Nighthawk in Brooklyn when they did the 42nd Street, the Deuce screenings that they do there, I think, every other month. And that was the last time I saw this movie before I watched it on Blu-ray was a 35 mil print. It's a beautiful print as well.
It's probably the same one I saw. I saw
probably.
it at the Hudson Horror Show in Poughkeepsie probably about 12, 13 years ago. It was the first time I'd ever seen. I was like, what the fuck am I watching? Like, I was watching a lot of titties and vampire ninjas.
You can look up her and find her titties elsewhere, but just not in this movie.
Okay.
Also, she was on Her Majesty's Secret Service. Moving on to some Chinese actors. You got David Chang as Si Tenen and as Si Qing. So he plays 2 characters. The first one, he was the guy who battled the vampires and was killed. And then the other one is the main dude who recruits Van Helsing to go fight the Golden Vampires. He actually won several, I guess, Best Actor in martial arts films, or two of them. Vengeance and Blood Brothers. Any of you familiar with those?
Nah.
No. Okay.
Nope. Again, might be something I've seen, but just don't know the name of.
Then we have what looks like Shih Tzu.
I probably not.
As Hui Mai Kwai. She's the sister of the.
She's the fucking star of this movie. I don't give a fuck what it is.
She's the star. She's got the 2 daggers, and she works really well with them.
She is smoking hot. She is ass kicking. And then
badass.
She's a badass, and then she fucking ends up in an interracial relationship. So much is going on.
Yeah.
Well,
and again, no titties. She gets strapped down, but no titties.
She's so smoking hot and badass that like Van Helsing's son Leland, who when like is cuddling up to the Norwegian model, goes, actually, I think I fancy the lady over there who's washing the dishes or whatever.
Yeah.
Goes over to the because she's washing something in the lake, and she says, "In my country, that's an invite to go over and help wash the dishes or something."
Yeah, something like that.
And he's like, "Oh, you don't have to tell me. You're okay with me going off with a side piece? All right, I'm off. I'm going over there."
He's all about it. Yeah, I get it, bro.
All about it. Then we have Chan Shen as Kai. He is the Taoist monk who goes to Dracula for help, and then Drac says, "Fuck you, I don't help nobody," but takes him over. And then you got a lot of other Chinese actors as a lot of other Chinese characters.
We're gonna excuse you from this part, Manster, because I understand it's. Yeah, I looked at the names and I said, you know what? We don't have to get too deep into this.
Yeah, you don't care about the other 6 siblings. So
no.
Right.
Well, and their characters. Okay, so
badass.
I feel like I'm going to regurgitate something I read, but it was true. I was as I did after watching this. I read the entry in the Pub Bloke book that John has supplied us with, and I think it says in there at one point that none of those characters have actual characteristics other than here is the mace guy, and here's the guy,
the axemen, the bowmen.
And you know what? It fucking works. I can actually look at him and go, every time the Axeman walked in with those two axes, I'm like, yes, the Axeman is here.
But to that point,
he also did the very wise thing of dressing them all in the same color, so that when you see the big battle scenes, you know who you're rooting for.
Right, but they could have switched the weapons, and I wouldn't have fucking known.
No.
I would have had no fucking clue. Anybody could have been carrying the weapons, and I'd be like, yeah, the Axeman's back. Idea. Could have just been the axe deliverer.
So I have to ask, so the version I saw starts off, the Seven Brothers Meet Dracula, and it starts off with a scene that introduces, it's just music, and it just shows you, it reminded me of Voltron. You know how in Voltron, if you remember Voltron, the lions came out, like one came out of the water and one came out of the volcano. It's just all these zombies coming out of the ground. And
that's cut.
Oh, and then it's just, you see like a 360 shot of all of the 7 vampires. You got like the ones in white that I dubbed Gandalf and not Gandalf. And then, they kind of just go around and you get this whole scene that's like an introductory credit sequence. Did you guys get that or no?
I don't recall that.
Okay, so the version...
And they're probably using two shot. They're probably using the scene in the temple, because ours does begin with a scene in the temple, right?
Yeah, and they like in the 1800s with Ka going to.
Yeah, so we get the flashback to begin with, and you get the 7 golden vampires in the temple with the women who are being drained of their blood and stuff and whatever
around a hot pot.
But it's later on in the movie that they what are you saying, dude?
He said around a hot pot.
Around the hot pot, yeah, around a big hot pot.
Blood,
the soup.
Their blood looked like Hawaiian Punch. So the version I watched starts off with this really weird kind of like just silent, music, but like introduction to these characters visually. You see them with their Flavor Flav bats on, go into the village and they raid. And this is where you get a lot of the titties popping out. They're ripping women's blouses off and throwing them over horses and bringing them back.
That's later.
It happens in the beginning. And then there's actually,
they just reuse the same fucking scene.
And they reused it again after that. I think either after that scene or after they introduced Van Helsing at the university where everybody walks out. You
have to remember what John said. That version was made for 42nd Street. That version was made for those theaters back then. So what did they want to put in it? More titty, more fighting. They would just rehash the same scenes and take out the exposition, right? Like, oh, here's a fucking 4-minute scene of Peter Cushing talking. Get that the fuck out of here. Put some more titties and some more fighting back in.
Right.
We need to keep people in the seats. This is America.
Right. So what I'll do is I'll continue to try to lead the way, but if there's anything I'm massively missing for not having seen it, then just jump right in.
Our version is the Ka guy in the 1800s. So he says he goes to visit Dracula. He goes to Dracula's castle in Transylvania. He travels all the way. They don't tell you how he got from China to Transylvania. He just goes to Transylvania, finds a very heavily makeup wearing Dracula that looks nothing like Christopher Lee. And he's like, hey, we've got these 7 golden vampires back where I come from, and they're losing their power or something like that. I need you to help them. He's like, I don't do favors for people. He's like, this is my castle. And then he's stuck in the castle. Dracula can't leave the castle. So he's like, what I'm going to do is I'm going to possess your body, and I'm going to take you over, and then we'll go back to China. And that's kind of how it starts. He morphs into Ka. So, that guy is Dracula, basically possessing his body.
I get that scene in my version. It's like 3 scenes in. So we get the weird intro. They do the raid. We see all the zombies that they're victims, as we learn, rising and like mulling about. And then he goes...
A lot of hopping.
Yeah, a lot of hopping. He goes to see Dracula.
Skipping and hopping.
Dracula tells him, I need your form. And then he
you do get that. Okay.
Oh, yeah, but it was like 3 scenes in.
All right.
So that happens, and then...
But they just spin around in a lot of like superimposed fog.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's just one actor now. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so then we eventually do get to a scene where Peter Cushing is teaching at a college in China. But all the kids that signed up for Van Helsing's class get really pissed and leave when Van Helsing does Van Helsing shit. I found that super weird. It's like, what is his...
He's just Van Helsinging.
Yeah.
What did you think his class was? Like introduction to fucking PE? Like they're all in the room and he's just Van Helsing. You know, he's like, Dracula's real. Vampires are real. And they're like...
It seems like he's not really teaching so much as trying to... So he's lecturing them about, you know, vampires are real and you have this legend here. I always got the feeling that he's trying to find somebody who can corroborate this legend, and, you know, more than to teach them about their own legends, he's trying to find somebody like this Chin guy who can tell him, yeah, hey, I know where that village is. And
he says at one point that he came here to teach, but also to learn from the faculty about the sort of Asian vampire mythos.
Yeah.
Because we even find out later, not want to jump too far ahead, but we even find out later that if you're a vampire in Asia, you're afraid of Buddha. There are some other rules that we find out, and I'll let you get to those, John, at some point, but like there are other rules that we find out, and Cushing doesn't know any of this because Helsing is all about the European vampires. And so he came here initially, yes, to learn from other faculty members who all just went, this guy's a kook. I don't want to be around him. I don't know what this guy's doing, but get him out of here. And so poor Helsing is just shuffling around the university by himself, trying to look for more corduroy jackets and a little bit more blonde highlight. Cushing's hair, I mean, it's always been a wig. I know it's a wig, but like suspiciously blonde wig in this one. And I wonder if he got to China and he was like, well, you know what kind of wig I normally have? And they were like, well, we have this blonde one. Deal with it, you know?
Yeah. This is what you get.
I did read, I didn't notice it watching it, but I did read that multiple times his hair color or wig is changed throughout the movie. You could see the blonde comes and goes a little bit more, and he meets up with the Chen character, and he finds out from Chen that there is some vampire shit going on back at his village.
So Chen sits through the lecture, and you can see that he's very interested. Everybody else is like, fuck, this guy is fucking crazy. You know, we're far superior to you. Our people have been around for 3,000 years. We don't need your bullshit. But you can see that Chen is interested. So later on, we get the scene, which has always baffled me, of Cushing in wherever he's staying, you know, about to pour himself a drink. And instead of just knocking on the door and saying, you know, can I talk to you about something? This guy's got to climb up the side of the fucking house, sneak through a window and jump over a staircase.
Yeah.
The fuck is this happening for? Why didn't he just knock on the door and say, hey, I was at your fucking lecture and I got some questions and I can fill you in on some shit. I'm sure Van Helsing would have been very receptive to that.
He could have stayed at the lecture instead of leaving.
Yeah, the room was empty. It was just Van Helsing.
Right, he's just them two.
Because what's really weird, Larry, is that he climbs up the building, gets through the window, and even once he's in the apartment, hides behind a pillar. And then Cushing's like, who's here? And he steps out and goes, oh, it's me. Hello.
So this was a 74-minute movie, and I watched it straight through. No sleepy time. I don't think this was in the version I saw at all.
Oh, that's too bad.
Okay. I think he was trying to establish his ninja credentials. I know ninja's Japanese, but, you know.
Yeah, that's it.
Establish his sneaky martial arts credentials. I think that's what it was.
It's one of my favorite parts, John.
Yeah, it's great.
It makes absolutely no sense.
Larry, why don't you explain to everybody out there listening what he tells Van Helsing is going on back at his village and kind of the particulars of the 7 golden vampires.
Oh God! So he just tells him that you know, he's like, hey, I was at the lecture. You know, I can sort of corroborate your story. That's my grandfather. I think he said it was his grandfather. Yes. That's my grandfather, and that's the village that my family is from.
Because at this point, there's only 6 vampires because his grandfather killed one of them and has his gold bat medallion with him, right? Doesn't he show Helsing the bat medallion at that point?
Yes. That vampire had tried to touch, but it was unfortunately on a Buddha.
That's a really sad scene where the grandfather goes to the vampire's cave to save his granddaughter or daughter, right? Who was one of the victims on this like Red Hot Chili Peppers logo of doom, with a Hawaiian Punch blood center. And like, not only does the grandfather end up dying for his efforts, but they kill the granddaughter right in front of him, right? But he ends up, right? He does end up tricking one of them into touching that, the Flavor Flav medallion. And then he dies there, right? That's how
So Ching tells him that, he'll take him back. He's got, a whole family full of, kung fu people to protect them. And, so that's the introduction to Ching.
Now, Manster, who is Van Helsing's son? And we meet the blonde woman, and they run afoul
at a weird party.
Yeah, they run afoul of the gangster Asian guy from Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
The local Tong. Yeah, they're a local Tong.
Yeah, the local Tongs. Yeah, because he invited her over for a drink and a little whoopee. And, of course, Leland is offended, and no, he says, no, I've got it all taken care of.
Leland ain't giving anyone else a woman in this movie. He takes the Norwegian bird for the first bit, then he's off with the Asian woman. But you feel like if anyone went near the Norwegian woman, he'd be like, wait, no, she's mine as well.
Right. One of the things I liked about this character, or this scene, is he offends the Tong boss by not letting him buy the blonde woman, I guess, which I get it. So for the rest of this movie, he's kind of like a tough guy. He actually kind of reminded me of Rex Van Ryn Jr. a little bit. Like, he gets actiony, like he doesn't know martial arts, but he still fights he fights and shoots some of these motherfuckers. But one of my favorite bits is where he offends the guy, and one of the, like, his allies is like, you offended him. That's dangerous. And he's like, could we get an escort home? I thought that was hilarious. Like, he wanted to be walked home.
Well, and it's a really good ploy, because essentially, a lot of, you'll find this out, but like the directors, Roy Ward Baker and then Che Chang, were essentially the Chinese looked at this, or Shaw Brothers looked at this and was like, we need a lot more action in here. So they put this subplot in of the local Tong, because you go, well, we can have the Tong attack them when they get back to the Norwegian Broad's place. That's one fight scene we can add. Then when they're on their way to the village and they've got the horses and the buggies and everything, and Cushing's there with his pith helmet.
It was killing me.
Is he taking the pith or what? Anyway, riding along, it's a chance for the Tong to attack them again. So you get at least 2 action sequences, because they probably looked at the script and went, yeah, this goes from Cushing talking in a thing for like 20 minutes and no one's hitting each other. We got to put 2 scenes of martial arts in this movie to keep it going, which I appreciate that. That's a very, as the host of the PM Entertainment podcast, PM Entertainment have the same thing. Every 7 minutes, we've got to be punching someone in the face. So, yeah, I appreciate it.
Manster, I got to ask you, because I think I just missed the line of dialogue in the version we watched. So they end up deciding that they're going to go, and Van Helsing and his son are going to also go with these villagers back to their village to help them, I guess, get rid of this vampire curse, and that's what Van Helsing's do best. Was there a line of dialogue, or why did the blonde woman go along with them? I felt like...
You mean Vanessa? Yeah, she paid for the whole thing because she's rich.
Why did she want to go, though? Like, did she say,
She's very interested, and she was... The only reason she was talking to the young Van Helsing was because she'd read the work of his father and was very interested in vampires, and
that's
really
right.
wanted to meet him.
Yeah.
And blah blah blah.
That's
also,
right.
John, the anomaly that she is in this 1800s world is she's a woman traveling by herself.
Right, she's a widow,
and everyone's like, "Oh my God, you're traveling by yourself, a woman." Peter Cushing later on is being so like, you shouldn't go, madam. No, we shouldn't take you, madam. It's fine. He's being very English about it. But no, she's been, not only is she interested in vampires and Van Helsing, but she's also just been on the lookout for adventures for, however long she's been traveling. So she's just excited. I think it just tickles her. It just gets her in the right spot.
She's going to get fucking tickled pretty soon in this movie, too.
I did feel... I did feel like all the time that like Van Helsing Jr. was macking on her, that like he didn't notice how she had like a daddy thing. 'Cause she's just like, enough about you. Where's your father again? I'm like, oh yeah.
I'd like to give him 10,000 Chinese dollars, whatever that means.
Yeah. If I'm a lady in the 70s, am I interested in the guy playing Leland, whatever his name was, Robin Stewart? Who's ever heard of him? Or am I interested in Cushing? I'm sorry, I'd be, especially with the, Cushing now being on the market again.
Yeah. Yeah. So they start to make their trip there. They get attacked first by the Tongs, which I was very surprised at because I thought the Tongs were going to be like a kind of through the whole movie subplot. Yeah. And the main guy gets like fucking like murked immediately. And they just, we can't describe they're all good fight scenes, but like that's kind of one of the hard things about this film in particular is that there's a bunch of these fight scenes that happen.
Which funny, he gets an arrow through the neck, right? But when he hits the ground, half of the arrow like breaks off and flies.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were like, should we reshoot that? No, it's good.
No, that doesn't matter.
That's fine. That's fine. We'll let it go.
John, you mentioned a little bit ago some of the particulars of the vampire lore in this movie. Can you get a little bit deeper into it? Like maybe like we talked about the Buddha thing, but there's mention of silver in this one, which I'm usually werewolfy.
Oh, really? I was thinking there was one bit where they all decided does fire work, and he says not in Europe. But I thought that what confused me about that is I thought
a bunch of them.
I thought fire has been used in a bunch of them.
Yeah.
And but I think in Prince of Darkness, ice is used. That ice is one and fire is anyway.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, there was Buddha. What was the silver thing? I'm sorry, John, you set me up for something. And I'm like,
that's when Van Helsing, they were having camp and they were sharing, this is what my siblings do. And he said, they talked about how to kill a vampire, and it was wood stake, silver, which is better. But they were unsure about fire at that point.
What was the bit about the metal, the bling?
The medallion?
What were those medallions?
Well, if you remove them, they lose their powers, I think, right?
Well, they also emit steam.
Yes.
If you remove
one, your stomach just blows a whole bunch of steam. Perfectly spherical hole. It's that plug that's keeping all the steam inside the vampire. I don't really understand it, but it's
okay. Because there's that one moment where one of them gets pierced and he starts to do like he's a balloon or something. It was a little bit odd.
Because you would think that Van Helsing's the one that's full of hot air.
I'll tell you something that Van Helsing is actually pretty good at, and I think Peter Cushing probably felt very comfortable with it. Is we were just talking about fire. Yeah. That motherfucker is in. He has got torches. He rolls through a fucking flame. Yes. At one point, and I'm like, I think that was fucking him. It probably wasn't, but they really, really didn't seem to have much fire safety.
Changed color because his toupee went up in flames when he did that stunt. No, Cushing. I have to say, it's funny. I know earlier, Larry, you said that the is it Shishu or was the star of the movie, and I understand exactly what you're saying. What I have to say about this, considering, especially when you watch the 90-minute version. It's so obviously more Shaw Brothers than it is Hammer. The longer version is definitely martial arts heavy, Chinese history heavy, all that kind of stuff in more of a Shaw Brothers way than necessarily a Hammer horror way. The one thing I do love about this, because, often my love of a horror movie is down to the old doddery British guy who has to save the day, whether that's Dr. Loomis or whether it's Cushing or whoever it is. What I do love about this is they give Cushing his time. Like, it's a good Van Helsing movie. He's in a bunch of fight scenes. He gets a lot of speeches. He gets to be all proper and British. He gets the big ending. Like, Cushing, at least, they don't sideline him. You're very worried when you first watch the movie, if you've not seen it before, they're going to kill him off in one of these battle scenes. And then it'll all be about his son. And I couldn't care less about his son because the guy's boring as all hell. So I only care about Cushing and his bright orange corduroy jacket. I'm like, that's what I care about. And what I love about this movie, the thing that gives it the stars for me, is that Cushing is kept throughout the movie, and that he is badass Helsing in this. Like, he's swinging torches about. He takes out multiple vampires. It's like a proper.
But you got to admit too, though, that it looks funny. Because you've got all these guys around him doing fucking backflips and flying sidekicks, and he's literally poking at people with a fucking flaming torch.
But it's, look, it's effective.
Hey, like him and his son, because his son's fucking not flipping around and kicking people either. He's just kind of pushing people, and
his son was one step away from like one of these scenes where like he's fighting these like ninja level martial artists from like putting up his dukes like this, like old Donnybrook, Let's get into a little bit more vampire lore, cause it's something, I don't know if it's common in the Hammer films, but we do have a scene where they're setting up camp, and they decided to set up camp in a cave at one point, and some bats on strings pop out.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
The bats on strings are delightful.
All right, so are bats on strings or bats normally able to turn into vampires? Turn into bats? Is that common in the Hammer vampire films?
I don't know if it's common in the Hammer ones. There is one. Hang on a second. There is a Hammer Dracula where Lee becomes a bat. Scars of Dracula or Taste the Blood of Dracula. It's one of those middle ones.
I don't remember.
It's one of those middle ones. John, I do believe there is a scene where Cushing becomes a bat, and my friend Jim would know better than me, but I think it's one of the middle ones between the Horror Dracula and Dracula Prince of Darkness, the early ones, and then AD 72 and Satanic Rites. Lee does a couple in the middle there. Taste the Blood, Scars. I forget the other one. It's in one of those. And so it's part of the mythology in general, but yes, I do believe it's part of the Hammer ethos as well.
Master, what did you think about, so these bats turn into the 7 golden vampires. They attack. We get a huge fight scene. We haven't really talked a lot about the 7 golden vampires, like the makeup effects. They all look like they're decrepit, kind of almost zombie-ish. They've got these weird masks, like with like one eyeball is kind of like rounded. I actually wrote
decrepit in my notes.
Yeah, and then they have like needle fangs. Like, what did you like that?
They're very cat-like.
I thought it was interesting. It's a change, so it's something different, which I hadn't seen before. Also, I've never seen vampires fight with swords.
Yeah. Yep. Well, no, we did. We actually did.
We did?
On the last episode, right? Captain Kronos fought the final vampire with a sword. And that leads me to...
Oh, yeah, that's right.
To another question. Blade. That's right. That leads me to an overall question about the Hammer horror universe, which I don't expect it to be like the MCU where everything's tied together. But like Captain Kronos, I don't know if we ever determined this. Is that in the same Christopher Lee Dracula vampire universe as everything else? Like, is that in this world, or is that just like...
That's its own...
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's part of the multiverse, I guess.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. There's not a scene in Captain Kronos where he talks about, Dracula or whatever. There were plans, though, I think. But like, if it had continued, that he would have eventually fought Dracula or a Dracula-like character. But no, I don't think in the actual Kronos movie.
So we get a big old fight in the cave, and a lot of fire. Peter Cushing, Van Helsing using the torch and rolling around in fire, and we kill off a couple more of the vampires. When they die, it's also kind of interesting. They just crumble into
very Evil Dead like.
Yes,
right.
Yeah,
it's Evil Dead.
Very Evil Dead. They like melt away,
or vice versa.
Yeah.
Or Evil Dead is very Legend of the 7 Golden Vampires.
Very, very true. Very true.
Well, in fact, considering, obviously the Shaw Brothers at this point was like a fairly big studio, what I love most about the design of the 7 Golden Vampires is how, low budget, mid-80s trauma shot on VHS kind of it is. I've seen a lot of low budget indie movies from the 80s and the 90s where to do an alien or to do a monster or to do some kind of other beast that they're going to fight, they've literally just sort of slapped this kind of weird face stuff that these vampires have that sort of
Face
make them
stuff.
look decrepit. Well, it makes them look decrepit, but it's not. It looks like papier-mâché. It doesn't look like rubber or latex.
Yeah, no, it's not very good.
It
Yeah.
looks like, paper mache or papier mache, however you want to pronounce it.
I was going to say, John, you just ruined me ever saying paper mache again
Papier-mâché.
by the way you just knocked it out of the park. I'm never going to fucking ever say those words again.
That's what I grew up calling it.
Papier mache. I feel like a fucking stooge.
No,
I bet you I have lost opportunities with so many jobs and women and everything in my life where I just said paper mache and they were like, you fucking plebe, get out of my face.
You fucking commoner.
You commoner.
Goddamn commoner.
You commoner. What are you from the States?
I like the idea that all your early romantic adventures revolved around
All the big jobs I never got where I ended up bringing up paper mache and they were like, oh, well, you know what? Bring in the 3:00. This one,
like,
we're all set.
please.
Check, please. Yeah. Out on like a nice date. Things are going great. About to go back to her house. And I'm like, oh, you've got a really wonderful collection of paper mache. And she's like, you know what? I kind of have a headache. Then I see her like the next day, like with John Cross. And I'm like, what the fuck? And then she's like, I got to be honest with you. You didn't say papier mache. And I'm like,
Oh,
fuck.
I'm never going to fucking live that down. No, I listen, it's just when I'm talking and I'm not thinking, it just comes out how I grew up saying it.
I fucking appreciate it, man. I appreciate it.
I love the low budget look of them, and I love the eye stuff that they have going on with the sort of because they
One
have kind of
big round eye and
they have like a golden bat mask and then a golden bat stomach. Like they've got like multiple things. I love the look of them. I love the long thin teeth. And I liked how there were a couple that when they died deflated.
Yeah.
Like you saw the rubber hand and clearly someone just sort of pumped the air out of it because you just see it slowly kind of. I love that. I thought that was great. I'm a big fan of the effects in the movie.
All right. I'm going to lead us because this one's martial arts heavy. I'm going to lead us towards the ending of this film where everything kind of comes together. John, can you kind of walk us through, maybe the final confrontation and then our reveal of Dracula as being the guy behind everything?
Basically, of the two couples, because there was Cushing and then there were the two couples, David and the Norwegian bird, and then Leyland and Shishu. And they live. Leyland and Shishu live, and then the other two perish. And so, but Leyland and Shishu are doing their thing. So Cushing goes into the castle, and he goes into the castle, and he's confronted by Carr, and he realizes that Carr is really Dracula, and he basically taunts, like bullies Dracula into becoming Dracula again. He's like, "What? Are you such a coward? Are you so scared of me?" He's like in his mid-60s, his hair's all over the place, covered in shit.
I was going to say he's all fucking dirty.
Yeah, he's fucked up, and yet he's got the balls. Van Helsing has got the balls to stand there and just be like, "You're scared. You're hiding behind Carr. You should come out and face me." Blah 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 blah. To which this time around, instead of going behind some fog, they go into a giant plastic fake-looking turd. And then, which I suppose is meant to be like a chrysalis or something, but it just looks like a big cookie or a big turd. And, or one of those things that they get trapped in Spinal Tap. And then, Dracula comes out of that. He's Dracula, and he goes at Helsing, and they wrestle a little bit. No,
wait. He bitch slaps Helsing twice.
Yes,
Like
backhands him across the face.
Yeah.
So he beats up Helsing for a little bit. But like the one thing I will say is that I love that it's Cushing and Dracula. I love that that's how they're going to end the movie. I hate that the fight is not longer.
Yeah.
And I understand you've just had that big martial arts battle, but basically Cushing gets beaten, backslapped, and falls over one of the drainage benches the women were lying on earlier.
Right. Yeah.
And realizes that he has, I presume that's meant to be like a silver pole or a silver staff, because they talked about silver earlier. But he picks up a big gray star, flagpole, whatever it is, and immediately embeds it in Dracula's chest. Dracula slowly turns into like a kind of waxy. Has anyone seen Return of the Pink Panther, where Peter Sellers has got a big fake nose? And he's in a sauna, and the nose.
Oh,
starts
yeah.
He has like a big wax nose, and the nose starts to melt. That's what Dracula looks like in this movie when his face starts to go all waxy.
I think that was just his makeup coming off.
Yeah, it's just his makeup.
I love this scene because it's like 17 unadulterated minutes of Peter Cushing watching Dracula die. he's slowly deflating from like, okay, he's a full-fledged thing, then he's a little bit smaller, and then he's just a fucking skid mark on the fucking on the ground. I'm like,
I love that Cushing gets the better of Dracula. I love that it's a Helsing Dracula standoff that ends the movie. I just wish it's a little anticlimactic after the big brawl that just took place outside. That's my only thing. Because then in our version, they immediately roll the credits. You don't even get to catch up with Leyland and
same thing.
Mike Meekway again.
Yeah,
so,
it's one of those typical fucking endings for the period. Just turn the camera off.
Yeah,
like, we're done. That's
Dracula's dead. That's all anyone cared about.
Yep, I don't want any fucking. I want to know about fucking May Schwing, whatever. Nothing.
No.
Just shut the fucking camera off. Fucking, we're done. Roll some credits.
We call that in the pint the universal horror ending because every universal horror ending ended in the middle of a sentence of dialogue.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure glad that it's over. It's fucking over. The Wolfman. I hope I never become a wolf. It's over. All right, so that is 1974's Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires, or if you check out the super truncated American version like I did, you might see it pop up as The Seven Brothers Meet Dracula. As we do on these episodes, we don't talk box office, but we do talk our favorite kill. So let's get into it. It's favorite kill time, kids.
I've been trick-or-treated to death tonight.
You don't know what death is.
All right, I'm going to start because I mentioned it earlier and we kind of slink past it. I'm going murder-suicide. So the Norwegian bird, as John calls her, gets vampired. She comes back all like vampire-y and sexy. Her martial arts boyfriend doesn't really realize that he gets in too close. Then she gets him, but he realizes he's got to take care of business, and there is a sharp-ass bamboo stick pointing out, and he just like rides her up on it. And then after he puts her on it, he fucking dives on it because he's a vampire too. And then like to really fucking make things worse, he like grabs it and pulls them both in and murks them both. It's awesome. It's kind of sad too, because like you genuinely felt like, even though there's, especially in the 74-minute version, there's not a lot of character interaction that's really going to mean anything, but you're like, oh, she's a widow. He's a cool dude. They're going to make it. They don't fucking make it. They end up dead together. So I'm going with that one. Manster, what do you got?
Yeah, I was going to pick that, but I'm going to go with a different one then. Not the 17-minute Dracula melting, but the vampire in a hot pot.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was in the same room, same scene just prior to that.
He falls into the hot pot, and then when they look at him again, it's like he melted.
Yeah,
he's like
a rib cage.
He's just a pile of dry meat and ribs.
There's a hip bone.
Yeah, it's absolutely fucking bananas. It really is.
Vampire in the hot pot. All right, John Cross, what do you got?
So I forget how it builds up to it, but there is one sequence where it's in one of the big battles, and I can't remember if it's in the town or if it's in the ending battle. But there's one vampire that's essentially surrounded by a ton of villagers. They stab it once or whatever, and it goes down to the ground. And then you just see a shot from above of just all the villagers like hacking at it with scythes and sticks and blah, 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 blah.
Oh, yeah. Dude, it was all farming equipment.
Yeah.
They were like hoes and rakes.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's during the flashback or whether it's in the village. Either way, it's a bunch of villagers. It's not the martial arts guys. They beat up this vampire after it's already been stabbed. So it's already going to die anyway. And in the uncut version, it cuts back to the vampire's body on the ground before it, and it is just a gore fest. It's like the goriest scene in the movie. That's my favorite kill.
Yeah, it's that body is absolutely decimated. It's just there's no body left. It's just a fucking pile of like goo and blood.
Well, good, and also Larry, good call on the Evil Dead thing, because there's the scene in Evil Dead where you see all the body parts on the cabin floor, just kind of like flopping about.
Yeah.
Pretty similar to that.
Yeah, it is. It is very similar. So, I mean, for a movie where not a ton of big kills happen, there's some really good ones. I do love the murder-suicide as well. But I'm going to go with the leader of the Tong, because I just love that his fucking neck arrow falls out when he fucking...
That was my...
Yeah.
I had a competition. It was murder-suicide or dude who gets shot in the neck while riding a horse with an arrow and flies off of it. Yeah, that was fucking great.
And then the arrow falls off as soon as he hits the fucking ground.
The very obvious plastic gray arrow. That was totally on a wire around his neck. Yeah.
Right. What better? What better can fucking happen?
John, you said earlier, like you were saying, you thought the Tong was kind of going to be sort of on one side, they've got to battle the Tong, and on the other side, they've got to battle the vampires and da-da-da-da-da. I don't know about the rest of you guys, but like, I can sometimes be a fan of when you think that they are setting up something that is going to be more of an obstacle. No, actually, it's not going to be an obstacle at all. It's just an excuse for 2 fight scenes. Part of me kind of loves that. The writer in me definitely wants something more intricate, like kind of what you were kind of talking about, them throughout the whole movie kind of being this antagonist. But actually, the viewer part of me likes it when they just go, oh no, 2 fight scenes and they're all dead. The Tongs never come up again. You're like, great, okay, cool, I can handle that.
When I threw this DVD in on Sunday, I didn't look at the runtime initially, and like maybe 15 minutes in, I had to get up to grab a drink or something. So when I paused it, I think we had already met the Tongs, and not that my brain really thought this, but I paused it, and I saw that the whole runtime was 74 minutes. So it totally makes sense that they couldn't have been a bigger part of this movie, because this movie is like stealth. It gets in and it gets the fuck out so quickly. All right, let's rate this fucking thing.
Little Hand says it's time to rock and roll. Bring the noise.
Larry, as is customary, what is the scale that we're rating this on?
I didn't even think of one. Usually I think...
Bat Dalians.
I was just going to say rubber bats. Like, I think rubber bats is good.
All right, cave-dwelling rubber bats, 0 to 5, 0 being the worst thing ever, 5 being the best thing ever, quarter and half scale optional. Manster, let's start with you. What did you think of 1974's or 1979's Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires?
Not my favorite of the ones I've seen, but it's definitely fun. It's got its charm. There's something pretty cool about seeing the foggy gothic hammer stuff with the energy of a kung fu film. Probably a lot more of that part of it. Watching Peter Cushing fighting aside kung fu masters is pretty fun, even if his hair is floppy and he's just poking at him with a torch.
But I love the Cushing loose hair. It happens in so many movies when he's fighting. He gets like 4 strands underneath his wig that just kind of hang over here, and I love it. I think it's brilliant. It's my favorite.
It's pretty good. The golden mask wearing sword fighting vampires with bad low budget makeup, they're silly looking. But that one with the eye and the other eye, the droopy eye, they're pretty fun to watch. Even as goofy as they are, they're fun. The Undead Army, we didn't really talk very much about them.
Oh, they were great too.
They have this sort of trot, skip, jump thing that they do. At first, I was like, "What do they do? Are they like skipping down the hill?" But yeah, they're kind of weird. But the romance, I think there's 2 romances going on. That just sort of slows down the movie. Yeah, and like John said, I think that the end game was just too short. I wish there was more of that. You know, there was more of Dracula turning into a skid mark than there was the actual fight itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, the movie's fun, but I kind of was like, all right, let's just move on with this and, get to the rest of my day. But it is fun to sort of watch. So I'm going to give it a 2.25 out of 5.
All right.
Rubber bats.
All right. I'm going to go a little higher than that. I'm going to go at 2.5. But I also am going to give this movie credit for The Hammer horror part of it is much less than the Shaw Brothers part, in my opinion, for the cut we watched at the very least.
Yeah.
But the martial arts action is a lot of fun. The first 5 minutes of this movie, the way I described how it opened the version I watched, where it's this really slow, weird, dark, kind of dimly lit scene where you kind of are introduced to these vampires, and then it actually repeats the scene when they raid the village, and you get the scenes where all the ghouls are rising out of the graves, and they re-show the same footage again, like one scene later. I thought, oh fuck, I'm in trouble with this one. But the fact that it was 74 minutes, the fact that Peter Cushing is pretty badass in this, the fact that the young lady martial artist really was pretty awesome in this. I liked the interaction between the two different couples and stuff like that. I just didn't think it was a great movie. But I had fun with it. I felt like whatever they set out to accomplish on the martial arts side, they did. And they managed to make a martial arts film that had a pretty good horror or vampire element incorporated into it, but it just wasn't very forward. And I'm not saying I would never watch this again, and I'm curious to watch the longer version, but yeah, this one I kind of just have to stick with like a 2.5. So let's go over to John Cross and hear what he has to say.
So what's funny is that I probably would have been hovering around the 2.5, maybe 2.75 rubber bats when I was first thinking about it, and sort of with my memory of having watched it originally, and then even having watched it this time. But it's a weird experience. There's so much in it that I absolutely love. And actually, the more that we've talked about it and the more I've sort of played the movie through my head again while we've been talking about it, I'm loving it even more. So, if I sat here and listed off the stuff that I like I love Cushing, and I love that Cushing gets to be a badass Van Helsing, that he's not just sidelined as some doddery old guy. I love that about it. I love the designs of the vampires. I love the designs of the ghoul, zombie, skeletal guys. I loved the cinematography. I loved the pinks and the greens and the way that, you would have that cave would sometimes have like super giallo bright, kind of lighting at the back. And then the vampire Khan would still be kind of in the front, looking normal again. I just thought the way they shot it was great. I thought the gore was great. The titties were great. I loved like the fact that they fit a good action sequence every 5 to 7 minutes. There's no slowing down. Like someone's being beaten up, slashed with a sword, arrow through the neck, chopped up by villagers every few minutes in the movie. And that's bang for my buck as far as I'm concerned. But to your point, John and Manster, like the weird thing is it's not, you don't end it and it's this big, satisfying, amazing movie. It's tons of fun. And there's 100 things in it that I absolutely love. And I love the different mythos and I love the different vibe of it. And I love the Hong Kong stuff and all the rest of it. But there is something at its core that it's missing that you cannot put your finger on that stops it being a 4 out of 5 or a 5 out of 5 and puts it in the 2.5, 3 out of 5 kind of range. There's just, and I cannot, it's almost, I would say it's because it doesn't really have a plot outside of Van Helsing's in China. They go to a small village. Everyone kills vampires. You know what I mean? It doesn't really have, like, there's a love story and there's the tongs and whatever. But I mean, essentially it's just A to B. You know what I mean? Like there's no big drama outside of that. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's like you say, the love scenes kind of take it, or the romantic scenes, not love scenes as in sex scenes, but romantic scenes. Those may slow it down a bit. There's something about it that's not quite whole, but I love so much about it. So I'm going to shut up and give it 3 out of 5 bats.
Larry, what do you got?
Yeah, so I'll answer John Cross's question, what it's missing. For me, it's missing Christopher Lee. Right. This heavily made up, weird fucking Dracula that doesn't work for me. You can't put Dracula in a fucking Hammer movie and it's not Chris Lee. I really wish he did this movie. I think this would have been a much different movie. I think there would have been a lot more Dracula in this movie. I've never read much about this, but I have a feeling they probably had an idea for a different movie. when they were hoping Chris Lee would be in it. You got something there, John?
I did read that because the Don Houghton, who wrote this, also wrote Satanic Rites of Dracula, and apparently originally the plot device of Dracula taking over someone else's body was supposed to have been used in that movie, and I guess it was not. It was discarded from that movie. So and then when Christopher Lee wouldn't come back, they kind of shuffled it off to this.
I think Satanic Rites was one where Lee was being like, I don't know that I want to be in this. And then agreed to kind of finish out the series because that was kind of the end of, and therefore they may have had that in their back pocket as sort of if he only wants to do the beginning and end of the movie, we can just make him take over one of the old men or whatever, and we'll just have them walk around do it. And they jettisoned that idea. And then maybe they thought after Satanic Rites, he might be up for one more. And then he was like, no, I'm done.
Yeah.
Which is so weird considering how many Jess Franco movies he made. Like, if Christopher Lee hadn't been in so many Jess Franco movies, I'd be like, okay, I get it. He has some level of integrity.
Artistic integrity, right.
He was in so many Franco movies. He threw his integrity to the wolves. Also, didn't he play Dracula he played Dracula for Jess Franco with a big mustache.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's insane that he would do that and he wouldn't do.
Right. Especially with Cushing doing it, with them being the best of buddies, you would have figured
Right.
He would have been like, fine, I'll fucking do the dumb fucking Chinese martial arts vampire movie.
I'll fly to China.
Also, how fucking cool would it have been, considering we've got sword fighting vampires in this, for Christopher Lee, who is a swordsman, a bladesman, as well as a soldier and a trained killer, to have him sort of doing insane sword play with Cushing on that set with the pink and green behind him and the cranberry juice in the middle. I mean, that would have been amazing. They could have been just doing like a, swashbuckling sequence. That would have been fucking cool. Larry, you're 100% right, sir.
Yeah, that's the bum out. So then we get what we get. And like I said earlier, this is a movie I'd never heard of until probably about 12, 13 years ago when I saw it at the Hudson Horror Show. And I had to look back and see what else was on that bill at the Hudson Horror Show. And it was Day of the Dead. It was Phantasm. It was Friday the 13th in an original 35 millimeter cut. It was Massacre Mafia style, which is my favorite. Movie. Oh, it's fucking absolutely insane. And it was The Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires. And seeing that for the first time in a theater full of people just laughing at these bouncing fucking vampires, and it's just it was a real treat. Is this a good movie? No. It doesn't make much sense. It probably really shouldn't work, but fucking every time I watch it, which admittedly is not often, I think I've only watched it one other time before yesterday. In between the last time. So maybe 3 times in my life I've seen it, but I had a lot of fun every time I watched it. I will watch it again. Owen came downstairs when I was watching it yesterday and was like, what is happening? And I was like, buddy, have a seat. Let's watch some vampires fight some martial artists for a minute. And he was just like, wow, this is crazy. It's like, yeah, it's a good time. It's nothing earth-shatteringly brilliant. But it's a lot of fun, and it's something that I would recommend, lovers of both Kung Fu and vampire movies to check out. Add it to their repertoire of films. I'm going to say pure enjoyability factor, 3.25 rubber bats.
All right. That's a pretty good. We're kind of all in the same-ish area around with a 1-point spread total.
Now, if you added Christopher Lee, we're 4 or above.
Well, yeah, but that's a different movie.
Yeah, I think that's different.
I think also something to be said about this movie, and again, this is coming from somebody that's never seen a Christopher Lee Hammer film as Dracula. I think there's got to be a large level of disappointment in the hardcore fandom that all ended on this movie, right? Like,
this is the last Hammer Dracula film,
right?
Yeah. And Peter Cushing's last Hammer film. This is it.
So you get one of the stars doesn't come back, and one does, and it's set in China.
And it's this fucking whack job of a movie.
Yeah.
No gothic,
But But I kind of like the idea that this is how Hammer flamed out. You know, this is how Hammer. It's like this is just how Hammer.
It wasn't a fucking slow fizzle. That's for goddamn sure.
We're going down, folks. Let's drag out the skull-faced, green bouncing vampire zombies.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
If you're gonna go swinging, right? If
Yeah.
you're gonna go swinging. So they definitely did. That's for sure. All right, Larry, why don't you tell everybody out there all about the show in February and what you're showing and what day it is and all that good stuff, where they can get tickets, everything.
What are you talking about? Friday the 13th? That one?
Well, you can do both. Do both. Yeah.
Sure. So Friday the 13th, which is there are 3 Friday the 13ths this year. Did you know that?
Woo!
I know there's one in
you
March,
can have.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there is.
February, March, and November all have
Yep.
Friday the 13th.
The most you can have in a year, apparently.
That's sure. I'll take your word. But yeah, so we had to go ahead and throw the next one in the list out there, right? Because we've showed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So we're going with fucking Telekinesis Sally versus Jason. Yeah, fucking Carrie versus Jason, whatever, you know. Tina Shepard, people love. Hey, it's got its fans. Jason versus the telekinetic girl. So,
And Weekend at Bernie's.
yeah, exactly. Fucking, yeah. I can't remember Terry Kaiser. Yeah, I couldn't think of his name for 1 second there. So yeah, that'll be Friday, February 13th at the Strand. You can get tickets on the Connecticut Cult Classics website for that. But then more importantly, that ties to the theme of this show and ties to the Pints February. On February 21st, which is a Saturday, got a couple of sort of Western themed vampire films going on. Near Dark, which is a film that I've wanted to show for about 10 years. You know, I like to make the joke when somebody talks about Lost Boys that, hey, Lost Boys isn't even the best vampire movie from 1987. Fuck the best one of all time. Like Near Dark is the best one of 1987.
Agreed.
So, yeah, I'm really psyched to. I don't think I've seen it on the big screen. So I'm pretty fucking psyched to see it on the big screen. And also with From Dusk Till Dawn, which gets a lot of shit. You know, a lot of people have said, why are you showing that piece of shit? I'm like, I don't think that's a piece of shit at all. Yeah. Oh yeah. One person was like, you know, if you weren't showing Near Dark, I wouldn't even come. Like, so it's like, oh,
What?
okay.
From
I
Dusk
can
Till
make the
Dawn
argument
is.
that it's the last good movie Tarantino made.
I don't know that I'd agree with that. But
I like
you
to
know,
shit on Tarantino every opportunity I get, but it's just
that's fine. He shits on enough people, so he deserves some shit himself.
That movie is the best of both worlds because
I love it, dude.
Yeah.
It's a fucking gangster movie, and then snap your fingers, and it's a fucking vampire movie.
yeah,
like what I wished they had done is that in between Tarantino making these like 3-hour, you know, ego masturbatory movies, that him and Rodriguez did like 90-minute genre films, because that way he could write them, but still not claim that it's one of his 10. God,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
nauseating and awful. Fuck Tarantino. He's such a fucking prick. Anyway, he could still write some like cool genre films. Rodriguez could pump out like a bunch of great movies. He could be in them if he really wanted to be. And I would much rather that run of movies than what we got from either of them. I love both. I love them both in a weird way, but I also can't stand them.
You know, I'm a George Clooney fan, and I think
Yep.
he's fucking fantastic in this.
He is.
And one of my favorite things about this, no, I wasn't going to say Selma Hayek. One of my favorite things about this movie is Harvey Keitel playing against character.
Yeah.
You know, he's always kind of the fucking bad guy, or at least the badass, and he's a preacher. He's a fucking preacher who's lost his faith, and it's, you know, just totally against character for him. And I love it. I love this movie. It's a great.
It's also
fucking movie.
one of the only.
You got fucking Fred the Hammer.
Yeah, one of the only times that the Hammer has died on screen, although he vehemently claims that he doesn't die in this movie. But
Yeah, I think the Hammer dies on screen.
it's also got the incredible Juliette Lewis line of "Richie, would you mind eating my pussy for me?"
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's classic. And So to tie into that, the last 2 episodes of this month, All Fang February, are going to be us talking about Near Dark and From Dusk Till Dawn. And From Dusk Till Dawn is extra special because Larry and I did that years ago, and it got lost in my laptop.
Did we?
Yeah, remember we did that years ago at my house with Dave. Do you remember Dave? He drank like 27 beers that night.
Holy shit! We were like, should we let this guy drive?
Yeah. Yep.
And I think they were all your beers.
They were all my beers. Which is fine.
They're fridge beers.
Dave, it was fridge beers. Dave was invited over. But yeah, we recorded that in another episode that night. And then we also recorded like a week or two later, A Simple Plan. And both of those episodes, my laptop fucking died. And Rubber, because we had to do Rubber again. Yeah.
Love Rubber. John, have you seen Rubber?
I have. Well, I'm a big Wings Hauser fan, so yes, I've seen Rubber. But Rubber was one of those movies that, before it came out, everyone was like, "Oh my god, a horror movie about a tire." And then I was kind of like, okay, that sounds a bit pretentious, but all right, let's figure that out. And I went and watched it, and I was like, nope, it really is fucking pretentious. And the only thing that saves the movie is Wings Hauser.
I was gonna say, when you started bringing up Rubber and John started talking about it, I was about to take up like some of my "this is my podcast" abilities and say, we're not talking about Rubber, but since John just shit on Rubber, we can talk about Rubber all fucking night long. All right? You can talk about Rubber.
I love Rubber.
That fucking movie. All right. So, Larry, that's the show, the 21st and the 13th of February.
And I'll be vending at that show.
Yeah, you will.
Oh. All right. Well,
I'll
John,
be vending at that show.
Aside from vending at that show, why don't you tell everybody about all of your endeavors, your sites, your podcasts, everything you got going on?
Sure. But no, my wife and I will see you on Friday the 13th, which is exciting because it's between my birthday on the 12th and Valentine's Day on the 14th. So that's awesome. Yes, I'll be at the 21st show as well. I do the PM Entertainment podcast, which is my main podcast right now. And that can be found basically, I think if you put in the PM Entertainment podcast, you'll be able to find it. I don't know what the .com is. You can go to aftermoviediner.com because that's my website for everything. So you can go to aftermoviediner.com to find the PM Entertainment podcast. But that is covering all movies from the beloved late 80s all through the 90s action straight to video studio, PM Entertainment. And then I have aftermoviediner.com and the podcast that goes along with that. And this year, we only do a few episodes a year. It's sort of just an ad hoc thing that I do with a few buddies. And this year, we're doing all 90s movies that no one talks about anymore. So that's going to be cool. the theme for this year. But yeah, find me at aftermoviediner.com and wherever those 3 words are put together on Instagram, Facebook, all of the good things. And thank you so much again for having me on yet another awesome Hammer Horror Show.
Of course, we got one more left. We're going to be talking about the Karnstein trilogy of films. Now, this one, when it comes out, guys, in a couple months, is going to be different. We're doing 3 movies in 1 episode, so get ready for that. Manster, tell everybody where they can find us, The Pint.
Find us anywhere you get your podcasts. They come out weekly on YouTube. It's The Pint, a pop culture podcast. On Instagram, it's at The Pint Pop. And, of course, you can be a Patreon insider, patreon.com/The Pint.
Before we leave, if you come to the show on February 13th at the Strand, since John is going to be there and his birthday's the day before, don't be afraid to bring him something made from papier-mâché.
Papier-mâché.
See ya.
See ya.
We are leaving!